Which also reminds me that sketching on camera while I'm talking is not my normal situation, so I'm a little outside of the zone, if you will. Hey everyone, and welcome to my design studio. I'm Anso, and today we are going to talk about knife design. Last episode where we did some designing, I did a little test on myself. We put a timer for 15 minutes and I had the goal that I wanted to produce at least 5 sketches that had potential for becoming a new Anso design. In those 15 minutes I did 20 sketches. It was an insane afternoon and quite stressful, and it was very opposite how my normal design situation would be. Normally I would put music in my ears, drink a cup of coffee and then sketch away, and it relaxes me. Or I would sit in a cafe or restaurant and just jot away in my notebook and just come up with ideas or think thoughts, and then how about we drew this. But that afternoon 20 sketches in 15 minutes, which when you do the math, it's a little bit crazy, but it was fun. And we actually ended up having 20 sketches to pick from, and I was able to pick 5 sketches. I'm reluctant to call them designs because it's definitely not designs, but it's design ideas that potentially could become something more. I did that episode with the intention of, if successful, it could become a series, and I have a strong feeling that this will be a series. So what you're watching now is really episode 2 in designing the new Anso folder. After the 15 minutes, we went back and then tried to pick 5 sketches where I felt there was some kind of potential. What I also do is, every now and again, I will go back and look at old drawings, and maybe I will see something that I didn't see back then. But for now, I picked 5 sketches from those 20. This one was one of my favorites. It's a super simple, no frill, no details, no nothing, but a super simple shape that really appealed to me. Then these 2 had some qualities. This one probably because it reminds me of my haddock design. This one was so far from anything that I would normally design, mainly because of this line here. And these 2, this one because of the big swedge, the blade shape here, the bolster. I think I mentioned bolsters at least 20 times in the last episode, which was kind of fun. This one is actually warming up to me because it's weird enough that it could become interesting. The last page was pretty much all crap. There was no ideas here, but I also think that those last 5 sketches was done in something like 2 minutes. Actually, this one could have something, and I mentioned that in the previous episode as well. And I'm probably warming up a little bit to this. So what you see here is really the result of muscle memory and intuition. So I was just sketching away. What you'll see me doing now is I will take each of those 5 sketches and continue working with it. My first process with this could be one of 2. If the sketch is developed long enough that it catches the essence of the idea I wanted it to tell, then I would take this straight to CAD. Other times I will try and recreate that same sketch again and again and again, and then start building character into it, start adding small details, start doing, I would almost call it split test. See, okay, what happens if I put a bolster on it? What happens if I put a lanyard hole on it? Just try something different. I really enjoy the fact that this part of my job can be handled with a pen and a piece of paper. I can do that everywhere in the world, in basically every situation, as long as I have a little elbow room. Sketching in an airplane, not ideal, but it happens. But sketching in a restaurant under the influence of a glass of wine and some nice music in the ears, perfect. Which also reminds me that sketching on camera while I'm talking is not my normal situation. So I'm a little outside of the zone, if you will. Also, because of copyrights, we can't have the music running, which it's usually helpful for me to have music. But so far it's gone pretty well. I want to take this sketch and then start developing it. And that's where we're going to now. My most important tools are the Pilot BP-Matic, and it's a cheap pen, but it flows so well on paper. And the main reason for me to use a pen is it creates a permanent sketch. I never use an eraser in my sketching phase. I rarely use pencil, but if I do, I don't use an eraser because I want to be able to track back and see the process afterwards. If you have an eraser and you use that, you start to getting overly perfectionistic about your sketch. And we have to remember, this is a sketch. The moment you start working with CAD to refine that sketch into an actual design, well, then you start losing track of your process. But even then, I will save on the same piece of paper or on the screen, I will save several versions of the design as I work, so I can backtrack and see, okay, this is how it started, this is where we are now. Did I take a wrong turn somewhere? Then I can return 3 steps back. But the BP-Matic, perfect for me to sketch with. I do use a mechanical pencil. In this case, it's the Rotring, and it's just a super sweet tool, and it allows me to do some details that are just easier for me or better for me to use a pencil for. I do use a 2mm, in this case orange, Caran d'Ache fixed pencil, 2mm, only if I need to add a little detail in color or just draw my attention towards a specific detail. And I will use a micron pen every now and again, just again to strengthen a line or add a little color or strength to a line. These are the basic tools that I use. If I need to strengthen and curve a bit, I use the set of French curves, and I do use a ruler as well, just to get a general idea of size. But that's it. That's the tools that I use. Now moving on to CAD, I use my laptop and a mouse, and that's it. Ideally, I need a printer as well, but I do design work on the go when I'm traveling, when I'm out in town. Wherever I go, I can do basically everything I can do here in my design studio, I can do everywhere else. I use my kitchen a whole lot in the evening to sit and work with designs. And it's such a big contrast to everything else that I do here. I have a very well-equipped workshop. I have several rooms packed with tools, packed with CNC machines. I'm probably well above $1 million in equipment, and you don't take that with you in any way. But having a process like the design process that is so important and such a big part of my DNA is just fantastic that I can bring it with me. What we're going to do now is I'm picking this design and then just start redrawing it again and again, at least a handful of times, to see where it needs detail, where it needs strengthening, where it will unveil its potential. Now it's just a straightforward, no nonsense, super boring sketch, but I can see it has potential to be so much more, and maybe it just needs those small little Anso details to get lifted to a different level. So without further ado, I'm just gonna dive into the sketching process. Reached a point where I was almost thinking, okay, I can't solve whatever is going on paper. And then something happened. So as per my standard procedure, I like to recreate a drawing or redraw a sketch, not to the point, but more trying to catch what I see, trying to see, okay, the idea that I like about this design, what is it? And I was actually having a hard time doing that while not making a totally anonymous design. Trying to add details to this. It's still possible and I still really like this idea, but suddenly I just drew a curve. I had the original edge up here and then I just drew a curve and suddenly something very interesting started to happen in here. And that might be the direction for this sketch now. At least now I want to redo this. And that's one of the things where I really enjoy working with design, at least when I'm designing for myself. I have all the options in the world. I decide what direction we take. So if I like this shape here, that's what we're going for. Maybe it won't end up to be that project that I had envisioned, but maybe it will be something else. When I designed the arrows, I had worked with the idea of a small, gentleman-like everyday carry folder for, I'd like to say, a couple of years, but mainly up in my head, a few sketches here and there, and I couldn't catch the essence of the idea that I had on paper. So I continued working with the idea until I sat in that restaurant in Manhattan about a year ago. And suddenly it was there. I just knew it instantly. This is the essence of what I've been considering for this long. And maybe when some of this has had time to sit and simmer, maybe I will find something similar here. But right now, this blade shape here is just right up my alley. I love these big bellied blades here. You just have so much cutting edge and it's so much utilitarian design in that shape alone. It also creates some kind of trap for me because it's very easy to just start designing the same again and again and again. This is not it. While a lot of my designs have a lot of curve, the Neo, you can actually trace the edge of the Neo right here. Then the back is very different, but the Neo just has an excellent shape of the edge to be a utilitarian blade that has many different options. But I actually find that super interesting that you could basically just trace. Let's do that. Let's just do that. At some point in time, this was my little baby, if you will. This was the result of hours and hours of work, and some of my designs are more successful than others. And by successful, I don't necessarily mean number of sold items, but the Neo for me just speaks so much to me, and it was designed right around 2017, and a lot of different design aspects and changes went into what I was doing. So the Neo just gave me a lot of satisfaction to build it. That and the fact that I have worked hundreds of hours, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of hours making Neos. One thing is that once the design work is done, I have some kind of sentimental value, more or less, towards the work already preceded. But once I start working with it, grinding the blade, finishing the blade, doing all the knife making work, that's when I really connect to a design. And I've made a good number of Neos at this point. And it is one of the modern Anso designs that I really care about. Incidentally, you have the Neo, then you have the Orso, and in my opinion, the Orso is one of my most successful designs. Again, not necessarily in sales, but there's just so many details on the Orso that I'm so happy with it. And then comes the Isola. And oh yeah, I'm so excited about the Isola. Then came the haddock version 2. The haddock was a design I did back in 2012, 13, and then I redid it recently. So much cool going on in the haddock. And then the Aras, oh yeah. So when I talk about the designs that I've made myself and I've been so deeply involved in the process, you just develop. It's like you can't judge between your kids which one do you like the most. With the knives, obviously, I have some that I like more than the others, but each design in its own self has spoken to me, and I've devoted time of my life into making these. And that just makes every design that I make here in the shop special. And when I get excited about a sketch like this one, and here you really have to see past the handle, but the blade shape here, ooh, that excites me because I can almost feel how this cuts through a branch or sandwich or whatever. That's how far ahead I am in my design process. I'm using this knife right now. It's like, ooh, oh, it cuts so nice. So that excites me. So the next step now is to work with this blade shape. I've done it digitally on my iPad, just cropping that part of a sketch and then sketching with a pen on the iPad. It's never the same. Sketching on paper with a pen is just the perfect situation for me. Normally I would leave these drawings in the drawing pad, but now I think it makes sense just to put it there and then continue sketching. I just instantly fell in love with this blade shape. Now I want to recreate that sketch a couple of more times, and then I feel it's about time just to do a quick rough sketch in CAD, print out the result, sketch on the printout, and then do minor quick changes in CAD program just to get the overall design nailed in. Then I can start thinking about adding details here and there. But my goal with these 5 sketches here was to reach a point where I felt, okay, here we have something that is very, very close to what the final profile would be. Here, this blade shape is just, what everything around it will be is still very much open. Should it be a flipper? Should it be a nail nick opener? Should it have an opening hole? That's something that we can go back and forth with, but the shape itself really speaks to me, and this will be a worker. And I think that is an ideal project for me to move on with for the next custom project, or maybe one of the next shop build projects. You never know, and that's a decision that I can take a little further down the line. What I do know now is I love this shape, so I'm gonna continue sketching. So off camera, Anders just asked me, so you just mentioned opening hole, flipper, nail nick. Maybe we need to discuss this. So opening hole could be a Spyderco hole here. This is the Zulu that I designed for Spyderco a number of years ago. Nail nick could be like on the 0230, I believe it is. This is a zero tolerance design based on my Monte Carlo design. It has a nail nick. This is for your nail to use as an opening. And this is, of course, the flipper on the Orso design that I did for Viper. I just realized after designed knives for the past 25 years or more that I need a light table. I've never really felt I had the need for it, but actually this medium right here where I do this sketching and I want to trace that exact shape, and I'm struggling actually trying to find the essence here. A light table would have just made so much sense. I'm putting that in Trello. Buy a light table. Actually, I'm really struggling right now, which is also cool to have on camera, I guess. I'm not perfect, even though I like to think so. No, seriously, this, whatever is going on here, I'm struggling, and there's really no reason for it because I have that blade shape right here. So what I'll do right now is actually grab a picture of this, take it into CAD, just add some really quick lines around this in CAD, print out, and then from that we can do some sketching going forward like that. If you want to support this channel, you can visit my website right now and order your hours.
Why CAD and not another type of software?
Well, CAD is the software when you start working with something that you need to produce. If this had just been an illustration for a magazine or a wannabe design for a game or whatever, then you could have used all different kinds of programs, Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever. Here, this will end out in production, and I've been using Rhino 3D Cam for the past 25 years or more, and I'm pretty much as natural drawing in Rhino as I am with drawing with a pen, so it's just second nature for me to draw in this program. So what I've done now is I've imported the sketch as a backdrop, and I'll just trace over it, and that won't take too long. Much better. I just dragged this sketch through CAD and can see definitely some areas where I need to touch it up, strengthen the shape, but now we have something that is much easier to get a shape on. Actually, I did with all the designs that we picked out in the last episode. I did really nothing but trace the original sketch and then drag a little so it actually functioned in the open and closed position. Is this a design yet? No. This is just a version of the sketch in CAD without any detailing, without me being critical in any shape or fashion. I just traced the sketch. And what happens when you trace a sketch into CAD is usually, for me, the sketch completely dies. What I have here is a bunch of lines all on top of each other, some shading, something that allows me to interpret the sketch. It allows me to see beyond the sketch. Now, compare it to this, it's the same thing, but here I stripped all options to interpret anything, and that can kill a design instantly or a sketch instantly if I didn't catch the essence of my idea. And to me, this is actually one of the hardest part of designing for me. It's when I take the step from the pencil sketch or the pen sketch and put it into CAD for the first time. And that's why my designs often needs time to simmer. What's the essence of a sketch, and did I capture it or not? And if I didn't, I need to redo it and redo it. But now we have a ground base to work from. I traced this knowing that it's the blade that I'm after. The handle is nothing. I didn't put much into it yet. But then I traced one of the 5 designs from previous, the one that reminded me of the haddock, and said, maybe this handle actually has something. So I dragged and dropped and stretched and pulled and put this blade together with that handle, and that has something going on. And I actually think this is what we're going to continue working with right now. Now I just worked a little through CAD. I probably spent 30 minutes while Anders was drinking coffee, slacker. And this line here actually shows a little bit about what's going on here. So this was basically just the two sketches put together, and now with just minor adjustments, it's just tiny adjustments from here to here to here, and now we're actually starting to have something that resembles a design. There's still far to go. There's something going on in that area that I'm not 100% happy about. We haven't decided if this is a flipper, a two-handed open knife, a button lock, if it's a liner lock or frame lock. All that comes later. But now we're actually starting to have something that resembles a design. And I love that. That feeling that, now we are getting somewhere. That feeling, I love that, because that's what I get from the hand sketch that is successful. I see, this sketch has something. I'm exactly there with this sketch in CAD now. Now, this has potential. This could be something. Normally, I would probably let this sit until the next day to do something else. I think I'm gonna just keep on working just a little bit, try and add some details, and then call it a day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put 3 or 4 of these next to each other, and then just adding potential details like lanyards, flipper tabs, nail nicks, opening holes. Just try different ideas, just really quick, and then see where that brings us.
That looks crazy with the hole right there.
I actually love that.
That looks absolutely insane.
So this is the Spyderco licensed opening hole that Sal Glesser made famous, I don't even know when, back in the early 80s or something like that. Hang on a sec. With designing the worker, Sal Glesser invented the pocket clips. He invented having a hole in the blade that you open. I've designed knives for Spyderco in the past. I have a license to use the Spyderco opening hole, and I've done a number of designs with Spyderco. The only thing that it does to a design of mine, if I put a Spyderco opening hole in, I'm reducing my options to making it a custom knife, because Spyderco's licensing of the opening hole won't allow me to put it into production or semi-production like my shop build is. But I really do like the look of this. Here I made some kind of opening hole in the blade that is not Spyderco round hole, just to test if this blade shape would be successful with something like that. I'm leaning towards no, but let's see. I added a bolster because, well, bolsters, and a lanyard detail here, just testing out ideas. And it's so much faster at this point to add details by using my pen to the CAD drawing than trying to test the same idea in CAD. My brain just works so much more freely when I'm using a pen. My hand will do stuff that my brain doesn't even know it's doing. On the other hand, I'm also limited to recreating that last sketch. So drawing on printouts from CAD takes me just that step further, and now I can focus on details, just adding, testing, without spending time in recreating the drawing and not messing around with an eraser, because now my full process is documented, as well as it was in CAD. I save each version down the line in CAD so I can get back and see, okay, something happened with the curve here that wasn't intentional. Let's step back. But here, it's so fast. I don't need a precise drawing at this point. I just need to test ideas. It's really rare that I'm in a position where I'm so excited about a sketch that was made under such weird circumstances as having you standing there with the camera. No music going on, no coffee in hand, but sketching on the cat drawings just does something. At least right now I'm pretty confident that we're going forward with something like this. And who would have known that whatever we did in that previous episode with the sketching on the time limit would lead to this. Did it lead to this? Well, kind of, because one sketch led to another, which led to this. Doing a design with the Spyderco hole, with the trademarked, not so much, but my trademark Anso texture, like I've done on the Zero, is just something that brings out the excitement in doing stuff like this. And the leaf-shaped blade that this has, just it speaks volumes to me. One of the most famous knives out there in the custom knife community is a Berthelsen Chinese folder that has a very exaggerated leaf-shaped blade that I just love, and he made that a Spyderco knife as well. I've circled around that design for years and avoiding touching anything that has any resemblance to that, just to avoid myself going down a line where I would feel that I was leaning towards something. This is so much in thread with what I was doing back in 2015 maybe. And I'm so excited to have found back into a design language that resembles that. This still has some ways to go. Actually, sketching on top of a cat drawing adds that level of interpretation that a normal cat drawing lacks. So now I actually have some wiggle room to adjust the drawing again. I can just say I'm super excited about this, and we are getting so close to something that will become a prototype very, very soon. I know that I'm so pressed in the shop right now that putting out a prototype in the near future will be difficult, but I think I just need to make this happen anyway. And I can tell you one thing, you saw it here first. And I'm really excited that we got everything on camera. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did making it. We are onto something really special here. So please remember to hit like, subscribe, tell your friends, help this channel to grow, and visit the website. There's a link below. On the side, there's cool projects like the Aras. And until next time, see you later.